Hey everybody, and welcome back to Blender. In this video we're going to take our sculpting forward by exploring some of the tools that we have available to us. Before I get started, a huge thank you to everybody for subscribing and hitting that notification icon. That really helps me out. And of course, an even bigger thank you to my members and patrons. Your names will be running across the bottom of the screen. Incidentally, if you are interested in supporting the channel, please feel free to visit the Patreon in the description below, or you can simply join the channel by hitting the join button next to the subscribe button. So let's jump in. So we've got here a really basic kind of human stroke alien head. I haven't really decided. I'm just sculpting for fun really and just seeing what I come up with. And some of the tools that can be really useful in this instance are things, for example, such as the elastic deform, which is just down here. And what elastic deform does is it allows us to stretch and squeeze parts of our sculpture without changing the major detail that we've done. And what you'll notice is that the ball kind of acts as though it's made of a elastic or a kind of Play-Doh almost, where you squeeze one bit and the whole thing kind of changes with it, which can be really useful in some instances. And we can use it to reshape the head, we can use it to widen perhaps, and maybe give him a bit more of a forehead, or stretch out his chin a little bit. And you can use this to really make some quite major changes to the shape of your object without doing too much harm to any detail work that you've done, which is pretty damn useful. One of the other things that we've got available to us is a snake hook, and this is almost the polar opposite. So we're going to come right back on our radius because that's absolutely massive. There we go. And what we can actually do here is, let's say we want to give this guy some kind of tentacle. We can actually pull those things out using the snake hook like so. You can see we're just crazy pulling out these tentacles, giving it a really kind of weird alien look to the back of their head. Let's just come out and do some more of that. Really drag some of those details out. And you'll notice that I'm not just going crazy and doing like loads and loads in one go. I'm just dabbing, I'm just hitting the buttons, dragging those details out bit by bit. Now see, I'm not happy with that, so I'm just going to get Control Z. And we can see we've got some pretty weird tentacle things going on at the back here. And I'm not overly thrilled with what's gone on here. It just kind of looks weird, and then this just looks a bit odd as well. So we can just pull that back in and see how it looks. And if, say, we do end up with a bit of a mess here, we can just come up and find our smooth tool, which is this one, a red one, smooth. And then if we're unhappy, we can just adjust the strength because that's kind of strong. Let's go down there, and then we're just gonna click and hold, and that will smooth out those rough edges for us. Let's just have a look at the tentacle at the back here. It kind of looks a bit weird, so we're just going to smooth that out a little bit there as well. And then that's giving us that. This tentacle looks a bit odd there, so let's just fatten that up a little bit. And that looks pretty good, I would say. If you want to carve in some details, perhaps we can use the scrape tool. Again, check your strength before you do it. Check your radius, and then if you want to, and it literally just allows you to scrape detail out of the shape, or rather scrape detail into the shape of the object, so that you can add some slightly harder edges. So for example, under the jawline, we want to scrape ourselves in that shape that you usually get underneath the jawline of a character. So it just gives it a little bit more definition. It's also really useful if you bring the radius down even more to do under the nose. Perhaps you want to add some definition to the nasolabial folds down around the mouth, so you can scrape that detail in there like that. Add a little bit of definition under the lip as well. And you can obviously adjust the strength of this if you want to. We're going to just add a little bit more strength there, and then you can see that we can start carving in the detail for what will eventually be this character's mouth, if we're going to add a mouth there. And we can add the definition down the side of the nose and just start making this thing look a little bit more like an animated character, or a character that has some kind of movement, some kind of life in it. And just scrape that in. Just going to add a little bit more strength again. Now obviously limitations here are the amount of geometry, and we can cover that later on, but for now we've got the ability to add detail, and you can go, don't be afraid to just experiment and play. There's nothing that you can do with these tools that you can't undo by pressing Ctrl Z, or worst case scenario using a smooth tool. As you can see, you can really carve those eye sockets in now. Give the skeleton of the character some life. We can add a bit of definition under the cheekbones. If this guy's got a humanoid skeleton, we can always make this guy look completely different. I use the term guy. It could be a girl, it could be anything at this point. It's entirely up to you. Everything you do, to quote Bob Ross, happy little accidents, and it all makes a difference. Like so. As you can see, starting to give this guy some kind of definition on his face. We can then come back and use our smooth tool if we're not happy with some of these lines maybe being a bit too hard. Maybe they make the character look like he's just got too much going on, maybe too much mechanical kind of shape added there. And by all means, have a play around with these tools. There's loads to look at. We've got the snake hook, we've got the elastic deform, we've got the grab tool. The grab tool is similar to the elastic deform, except it only affects the pixels that you're grabbing rather than the whole shape. So let's say I wanted to make the tip of this guy's nose a little better. You can just grab that, move it around, and as you can see, it's only affecting the vertices that are actually contained within the circle tool when I grab those objects. So I can really play around with the radius here, make that really small, and I can start adding that definition to the nose. We can perhaps bring the lips out again a little bit and bring that in there. If we want to move those up so that it actually looks like they're in the right place, we can do that as well. And we can start moving the vertices around so that the actual geometry of the object moves along the sides of the shape that we want them to, which is going to be really important later on, so that you don't get this weird these weird lines in your object. Obviously when we smooth it out it's going to be fine, but you want the lines of the geometry to follow the object that you're trying to sculpt as much as possible. Knowing where the folds of that object are going to be is going to make a huge amount of difference. So if you're making something up, kind of like I am at the moment, I'm very loosely following the shape of a human head, but at the same time it's not a human head, so it could be anything I want it to be. You can just keep playing around until you're happy with the shape that you're getting. See, if you want to do something slightly bigger, you can just chop and change between that and the elastic tool, the elastic deform tool. Say I want to bring the chin up a little bit, there we go, that just looks a little bit more natural to me. And this could be some kind of fish for all we know. It could have, you know, just be a fish with a human face. That would be pretty damn horrifying. And the world is your oyster, really. Just get in there and have a play, experiment, use the tools that are available to you, and just see what you can come up with. Don't necessarily have to copy what I'm doing, just play yourself. I nearly said play with yourself. That could have been a slight faux pas. Just see what you come up with, guys. Enjoy that. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you found that interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. But until then, you take real good care of yourselves, guys. Bye bye.